Welcome to the video on whether you should buy a home solo at 30 or wait. We will explore how to avoid becoming house poor, understand the 30% affordability rule, and weigh buying versus waiting for a dual income. We will also cover hidden costs, risk checks, and smart alternatives like renting and investing the difference. Let's begin. First, we will outline why there is pressure to buy by 30. Next, we will explain the 30% PITI rule with real numbers. And then, we will cover hidden costs that many first-time buyers overlook. After that, we will compare buying now versus waiting for a dual income. We will also evaluate renting and investing the difference as a viable strategy. Furthermore, we will run through risk checks on interest rates, your job, and location stability. Finally, we will end with an action plan and key takeaways. To set the stage, the real question is whether you should buy a home on a single income to start building equity and gain control, or whether you should wait for dual income to boost affordability and reduce financial stress. We will unpack this question with data, rules of thumb, and practical examples. Before we continue, please note this is educational content only and not financial, legal, or tax advice. Your situation is unique, and you should consult licensed professionals for personalized guidance. Now let's discuss affordability. A common rule of thumb is that your total housing cost, including principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, should ideally be at or under 30% of your gross monthly income. For an $80,000 salary, the gross monthly income is approximately $6,667, which makes the 30% threshold about $2,000 per month for PITI. Note that PITI does not include utilities, HOA dues, or maintenance. If your PITI regularly exceeds 30%, you increase the risk of becoming house poor, where too much of your income goes to housing, leaving little for savings, investments, or lifestyle needs. Next, here is a decision flow. We start by checking whether you have an emergency fund of at least $5,000 to $10,000. If you do not, you should wait and save. If you do, we check whether your PITI is at or below 30% of your gross income. If it is not, you can reduce your target price or wait. If it is, we check for job and location stability for at least 5 years. If that is uncertain, consider renting and investing the difference. If stability looks strong, we evaluate whether you have at least a 20% down payment to avoid private mortgage insurance. If not, we include PMI and retest the PITI threshold. Then, we compare total buy costs to renting and investing the difference. If buying still aligns with your goals and risk tolerance, you proceed to a starter home or condo. Otherwise, you wait. We also flag that when interest rates exceed 6%, you should add an extra budget buffer and shop rates carefully. Moving on, let's look at hidden costs you must budget for. Closing costs are typically 2 to 5% of the loan amount and are paid at closing. A 20% down payment helps you avoid private mortgage insurance, which otherwise increases your monthly payment. Plan for maintenance at 1 to 3% of the home's value per year. Keep an emergency fund of at least $5,000 to $10,000 for inevitable repairs. If you buy a condo or a townhome, include HOA or condo dues. Do not forget utilities, lawn care, snow removal, pest control, air filters, and eventual appliance replacement. Property taxes and homeowners insurance can increase over time. Lastly, furnishing and move-in upgrades can be significant and should be planned for. Let's run a numerical example. On an $80,000 salary, gross monthly income is about $6,667. 30% of that is $2,000, which is a target maximum for PITI. Assuming a $300,000 purchase with 20% down, the loan would be approximately $240,000. At 6.75% for a 30-year loan, principal and interest would be about $1,556 per month. Adding estimated taxes of $250 and insurance of $100 brings the payment near $1,906. If there is a $200 HOA fee, the total becomes about $2,106, which is slightly over the 30% threshold. You also need to set aside around $250 monthly for maintenance and budget for utilities. In some markets, comparable rent might be around $1,600, which could allow you to invest the difference of $200 to $400 monthly, depending on your actual costs. These numbers vary by location and should be customized to your situation. At this point, follow this affordability checklist. First, calculate your safe PITI by multiplying gross monthly income by 0.3. Second, estimate the full payment at your target price, including principal, interest, taxes, insurance, and any HOA dues. Third, if your down payment is under 20%, include private mortgage insurance and retest the 30% rule. Fourth, build an emergency fund of $5,000 to $10,000 before closing. Fifth, budget maintenance at 1 to 3% of the property value per year. Sixth, keep your total debt-to-income ratio ideally at or under 36% and work on improving your credit score. Seventh, shop 3 to 5 lenders to compare APR, fees, and points. Eighth, set at least a 5-year horizon for your role, city, and family plans. Ninth, consider starting with low-maintenance properties such as condos or townhomes. 10th, create an exit plan, whether renting the property out or selling if plans change. Quiz time. What is the commonly suggested maximum percentage of gross monthly income to spend on PITI? Is it 20%, 30%, 43%, or 50%? You may pause the video now to think about the answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is 30%. This guideline helps you leave room for savings, investing, and other living costs, which reduces the risk of becoming house poor. Now, this mind map shows 3 paths to build wealth. The first path is buying now, which offers equity building, control, and forced savings, but it can drain cash due to maintenance and exposes you to interest rate risk. The second path is waiting for dual income, improving affordability, and potentially allowing a better location or larger property, but it delays equity building and risks market price changes. The third path is renting and investing the difference, which offers liquidity, flexibility, and diversification, but requires discipline and does not create home equity. Sub-branches include house hacking, choosing a starter condo, using high-yield savings for the down payment, and contributing to retirement or other investment accounts. Let's compare buying solo and buying with a partner on dual income. Buying solo allows faster control and equity building, but it usually comes with a smaller budget, tighter cash flow, and a higher risk of being house poor. Decision-making can be simpler, but options may be limited, and you may start with a condo or townhome. On the other hand, a dual-income approach provides greater affordability and a wider price range. It allows shared risk and more resilience against financial shocks. It can better match future needs, such as space or schools. However, it requires coordination and joint goals. With a larger combined down payment, there is also a lower risk of private mortgage insurance. Here is the second quiz question. True or false? Renting and investing the difference can be a viable wealth-building strategy that offers higher liquidity. You may pause the video now to think about the answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is true. If you consistently invest the difference between renting and owning, you can build wealth while maintaining liquidity and flexibility. Next, this timeline illustrates a 5-year horizon. At year 0, there are closing costs, moving, and initial repairs. In year 1, you establish a maintenance routine and build a sinking fund. In year 2, you reassess your job and location stability and consider refinancing if interest rates drop. By year 3, you plan for larger capital expenses by reserving for roof, HVAC, or other systems. In year 4, you evaluate renting out versus selling if a move is likely. By year 5, you check whether you have broken even, considering selling costs versus equity gained. Moving earlier than 5 years may lead to losses due to transaction costs and market fluctuations. Finally, in this section, let's talk about rates, risk, and starting small. When interest rates are above 6%, principal and interest payments are higher, so build a larger budget buffer or buy a smaller property. Confirm that you can stay in the city and your job for at least 5 years before buying. Consider condos or townhomes to ease maintenance responsibilities. Explore house hacking by renting out a room to offset costs. Protect your assets early by speaking with an attorney about prenuptial agreements and ownership structures. If buying solo, choose flexible properties in areas with good schools and easy commutes. And look for floor plans that are rentable if you need to move. Here are the key takeaways. Keep PITI at or below 30% of your gross income to avoid being house poor. Budget for closing costs, maintenance, and a real emergency fund. Buy if you are stable for at least 5 years and the numbers work. Otherwise, consider renting and investing. A dual income expands your options and resilience. Start small. maintain flexibility, and protect your assets. To summarize with an action plan. First, run your numbers with a firm 30% cap on PITI. Second, build your emergency fund and down payment and avoid private mortgage insurance if possible. Third, compare buying to renting and investing using realistic assumptions. Fourth, if you do buy, start with a small, low-maintenance property. Fifth, set a 5-year horizon and protect your assets with appropriate legal planning. Thank you for watching. If this was helpful, please like the video, share it with a friend, and subscribe for more smart money content. Leave a comment describing your plan. Buy now, wait for dual income, or rent and invest, and why.